I got interested in government and politics mainly because I was a history buff as a kid. And when it was the 20th anniversary of John F. Kennedy's assassination, I happened to see a movie about him. I was fascinated. I was one of those kids that when I'm interested in something, I have to know everything there was to know about it. And the more I read about him and his administration and sort of what was happening in the 60s, I came to feel that government is a very important force for change. I knew I wanted to be a part of it, but at the time I didn't really know how. When I went to college, I got active with Young Democrats. I did every internship I could, and once the bug bit me, I realized that government is also fun. Solving problems is fun. Politics can be fun. I got elected in 2005, sworn in 2006. A lot of what we do in this office is social work. When we're not in session, we're not passing bills, we're dealing with constituent problems. And it's everything from somebody who's having trouble getting their driver's license renewed to people who have family members who are incarcerated and are having problems with visitation, people who are up for parole and looking for assistance getting parole, people who are looking for pardons, a wide variety of people who are having problems with the Department of Social Services. Social workers are naturally trained to handle that and make excellent constituent outreach people. For non-social workers, the casework piece doesn't come as naturally. So I always tell my colleagues, if you're looking for a legislative aid, don't automatically go to the political science and the government students. You should look at social work students. Shortly after I was elected, there was a student at the University of Richmond, Denora Hill, who was murdered by her ex-boyfriend who had been stalking her. And her friends reached out to me because I went to University of Richmond, and they said, we really want to make something good come out of this. So we contacted the Alliance Against Sexual and Domestic Violence. We really started looking at the stalking laws and said, they're not strong enough. So we put in a bill to make it a felony if you've been convicted of stalking someone twice. The bill didn't pass the first year. Denora's mother got very involved. She came and testified. And I made her promise that I was going to put that bill in every year until it passed. In, I think, 2011, it finally passed. Since then, there had been another young lady in my district, Tiffany Green, who was killed by her boyfriend who had been stalking her, and so her mother got involved. The proudest moment for me as a delegate was at that bill signing ceremony. Tiffany's mother was there, and Denora's brother was there, and they really said, it took a long time, but thank you for sticking with it, and this, now we can say something good has come out of this. So I think that's the one I'm the most proud of. I think the biggest thing is to be a voice for the people that you represent or people who don't have a voice here. If you look at the 140 people in the General Assembly, their life experiences are not reflective of a significant number of Virginians, particularly the poor, minorities, people who have either mental health or developmental challenges. The most effective lobbyists, for lack of a better word, are not sort of the paid ones that are hired by companies to come down and advocate a position. It's real people who come down and say, this is the problem I'm facing every day, and here's how this bill will help or hurt me. But a lot of those people can't come because they either can't get off work, they don't know how to sort of navigate the system, or whatever reason, they can't come on their own. But social workers are in a unique position to advocate and be their voice here. My kids remind me why I'm doing what I do. Especially if you look at, I sit on the Education Committee, Courts of Justice, Commerce and Labor, and a lot of the issues that come through those committees, I see how they would impact my kids and their friends, and it sort of gives me a different perspective, or a unique perspective not a lot of people have here. So my son is 5 and my daughter is 9 months. And I actually was the first member of the House of Delegates to have a child while in office. My daughter was early. She was in the NICU. She qualified for Medicaid. You know, that gave me a totally different perspective on sort of the fight for Medicaid expansion and providing access to health care for people. It definitely, I think, made me a better legislator once I became a mother. Particularly the last couple of years, I've focused on juvenile justice reform issues, domestic violence issues, especially on the juvenile justice issues. They view it as you took the easy way out or the wrong way, and we're not going to give you a break. You know what? Sometimes you're talking about kids who made a mistake. Or you might be talking about, you know, kids who are developmentally not up to the level you think they are, and they act out. And that sort of will start to lead them down a very bad path that if you don't sort of intervene, they will become hardened criminals, but you can catch them. This year in particular, I had a number of bills that either I sponsored or co-sponsored and supported that ultimately failed because it was just you're being too soft on people who have broken the law. And that's frustrating. But you keep at it.